everybody, come on. I've got the power. I've got the power. On a cold, wet November day in 2005, I entered into a room full of hundreds of people. In a panic, the organizer asked me if I would be able to fill in for a missing speaker. Wow. I had never spoken to an audience anywhere near that size before. To my surprise, I heard myself say, yes. Boldly, I approached that audience. There were hundreds of intense faces staring at me in anticipation. Yes, I was afraid on the inside. But did I panic, turn, and leave the room? No. I was going to face my fear. So I looked those kindergartners right in the eye, and I told them my story. I was not expecting to speak that day, but I was prepared. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I've got the power of Toastmasters and public speaking. And tonight I'm going to share with you how I got it and why I know all of you can have the power for yourselves. When I began preparing my icebreaker, initially my family was very supportive. But after about 10 times saying it aloud in the living room, the exodus began and the room emptied. But I still had a devoted audience, Bruno. And I knew Bruno would not let me down, and he didn't. Time after time, speech after speech, Bruno continued to stare at me through the glass in his fishbowl. Do you remember your first presentation, speech, or icebreaker? Were you nervous, uncomfortable, terrified perhaps? My icebreaker began something like this. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I grew up in Middletown, graduated from Rutgers, and I stopped. A fear washed over my body. But I sincerely hoped that I was in the right place, so I began again. But nothing had changed. The fear hadn't gone away. The third time, I picked my notes up off my lap and I read my speech, word for word. It felt like an eternity. But when I was finished, something remarkable happened. 15 complete strangers started to applaud. Not for the usual reasons, not because it was any good, because they were supporting me for facing my fear and getting through it. I knew if I could receive applause after that disaster, that I was in the right place. I still didn't have the power, but maybe there was a little spark. In May of last year, I was about to go on stage in front of 500 high school students. There were many speeches and a lot of practice between that morning, so I felt prepared. The event was being held by the parents of Rebecca Varela. Dr. Varela got up on stage and he said, June 20th, 2005 started out as one of the proudest moments of my life. My beautiful 18-year-old daughter graduated from high school. It was supposed to be the beginning of a beautiful story, but it didn't turn out that way. Later that day, she was a passenger in a vehicle that slammed into a back tractor trailer, killing her instantly. The audience was shocked and stunned, and I was next. I was given the power of that platform, an opportunity to influence those vulnerable high school students. I told them about my accident and injury at 18 and how it had affected my life. But I also told them how some of the difficulties associated with my spinal cord injury have offered me opportunities. Throughout that speech, none of those high school students interrupted. And I truly believe that I was able to hold their attention. When I was finished, they rose and gave me an ovation. When I began Toastmasters, I sincerely hoped that I could overcome my fear of public speaking. But somewhere along the line, I discovered something greater. Because of this program, I've learned to touch the hearts of nurses and hold the attention of thousands of high school students. Wherever you are in your comfort level as a speaker, I know you can achieve this for yourself, because for me, it began with that scary icebreaker. It won't always be easy. The fear of public speaking is so intense that at a funeral, 98% of the population would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. But that just means that you will have an advantage over that 98%. What would it mean if you could communicate your ideas more effectively at work? Impact or influence the organizations that you love and care about, or simply become closer to a friend or family member. You have this power within you, and I'm challenging you to harness it. Yes, because of Toastmasters, I've got the power. Mr. Contest Chair.